Welcome, everyone. It is Melissa MacLeod, and normally I would say here at the Floss in Grosse, Michigan. But today I am here at the Needlepoint Clubhouse in St. Louis, Missouri, and we are joyfully taking part in the fall Pointing It Out podcast retreat at Megan's beautiful, beautiful shop. I think there are 40 attendees here. I should know exactly, and I'm sorry that I don't. But we're going to take a minute to meet some of them that are here from near and far and introduce you to some of what's going on and why we love the clubhouse and why we love going to stitching retreats. So hold on 1 minute, and my first guest will be with us. So we are back, and Marilyn is with us, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I had the pleasure of meeting Marilyn at actually at two needlepoint stores. My son was living in San Diego at the time, and you are from La Jolla? Is that where you live?
I am. Yes,
okay.
That is correct.
You lived in La Jolla proper.
I do.
And so when my son and his girlfriend and my husband decided they were going to go golfing at Torrey Pines, right? Is that the right golf course? They're like, "Oh, are you going to be upset if we go golfing and leave you alone?" I'm like, no, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to go see my friend Vicky at the Needle Nook of La Jolla. And somehow you caught wind of that.
It's because I was coming to the Pointing It Out podcast retreat, and you reached out on the Facebook page and said, "I'm going to be in La Jolla."
Oh.
You did
that.
You did.
Connected us, silly me. And so not only did she come to meet me, you brought friends. So Beth came with us.
Yes. Bernice, who was the owner of the Needle Nook for probably 35 years.
It was so sweet. So I walk in and all these people were there to greet me. It was really, really sweet. So that was our first experience. And then you came to Detroit, and now you're here in St. Louis.
Exactly.
So have you been to St. Louis before?
I have been to St. Louis once before. However, it was 34 years ago, and it was just a tourist situation, and we had a lovely time. The botanical gardens were beautiful. I remember that.
Did you go to the top of the arch?
We did.
I did. My daughter lived here for 4 years for college, and I didn't go to the top of the arch until last year she was here, but it was really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we were actually here in December, and so the first couple of days we couldn't go because it was frozen. So you can't always get up, I guess, whether maybe they fixed that. It was 35 years ago, but
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, good. So you're back in St. Louis, and what are your impressions?
So I think I mentioned my mother-in-law grew up here, and she's a huge needle pointer, and she actually grew up very close to where the shop is currently located.
That's amazing.
And so I had I had just heard about St. Louis my whole life. And so I've been looking for certain things that she always talked about. So it's been kind of fun to see them. Yeah. Yes, it's been lovely, and the weather's been outstanding.
Oh my gosh, isn't it? So if you're watching this today when we drop it, it is October, I don't even know the date.
4th? Oh, good.
It's October 5th. That's why I had to look at my phone. And I think it's 80 degrees out here, and it's
at least
60 this morning.
At least 80. I think it was supposed to get up to 88 today.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love hot weather. And St. Louis and Detroit both, I think, are very underappreciated cities. Every time I come to St. Louis, I find a new neighborhood, a new location that I haven't been before. It's fantastic. So, and you've been to a lot of needlepoint stores in your stitching things. So what do you think separates? I mean, I feel like and when I say separates the clubhouse from other stores, I don't mean what makes it better, because I think every needlepoint store is fantastic no matter what. But they're all a little bit different. So what has surprised you, brought you joy in particular about this location?
I find it very interesting how everyone kind of has a specialty here. Now, I think they probably all can, pitch hit in any department.
The Floss, excuse me, I almost said the Flossettes. The clubhouse gals, that work here.
The ones that work here. If you want finishing, you go to this person is the expert on finishing. If you want your threads pulled, these are the experts on that. If you want, now they've got they're building this new building. So if you want information on that, you could talk to this person. They all very clearly are leading with their strengths.
Yes.
And I think that's nice because you feel like, okay, what I need is this, so I'm going to talk to her first. And then they pass you on to someone if you've got the wrong person.
Yes.
And I find that to be helpful.
Yeah, I think that you're right though, that, because I have been here, this is the fourth. I should have said this in our intro. This is the 7th Pointing It Out podcast retreat. And this is the 4th one in St. Louis. And we've had 3 in Detroit. And the spring one will be our 4th in Detroit. And every gal here is super knowledgeable in just about everything. So I think you're right that anyone could really answer you, but if you want super efficient, like top-notch things, they're sending you the right direction.
They are. And I think that actually, I think if you lead to people's strengths just in any organization, then everyone's happier.
Yes, yes. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but I have to now. So you recently retired from your corporate job.
I have.
With that.
Yeah.
But you've
I
got
have.
a little side hustle.
I do. I have a new little side hustle at the Needlepoint Club of La Jolla.
I love Vicky.
And I am not an expert on anything, but I'm good at threads.
Well,
I'm good at thread pulling.
And for speaking as a shop owner, having employees that are really strong in pulling threads is almost the most important thing, because everything else, like a customer will walk in and they know what their favorite canvas is and what they want to buy.
Right.
You might say, oh, you've never stitched before. Let's not get that 18 mesh super detailed stock. But for the most part, they know what they want, but they don't always know what threads are for what. So
Right.
To that.
And I certainly think, shout out to the clubhouse, they have a very incredible thread selection here at the clubhouse. And so that has been really fun for me just because that's kind of my thing.
Yeah. And what'd you bring with you to stitch?
So I brought a couple of things. I brought this key fob from the Gingham Stitchery. There we go.
And is that from Christie Johnson?
Yes, it is.
So hold that back up again for one quick second.
I'd be happy to.
Christie Johnson, this is her luck key fob. So all the, of course, symbols of good luck.
So you fold it and then you.
And Christie is a Gingham Stitchery designer, and she also lives locally. And she popped in this morning, so the people were here that had their book. She's written the Essentials monogram book, and she walked around and signed people's books, which was really fun. And Christie's just a joy. So it was fantastic to meet her.
Yes, that was fun. And I also brought another Gingham Stitchery. Oh yeah, I could have. Piece which I haven't done very much on. I brought the transfer wear turkey.
So awesome. That's from Kate Woodward.
And I signed up a few years ago for a Labors of Love vintage ornament club, and there were 6 ornaments, and this is number 5.
And I've stitched that too, not through the club, but I've stitched it myself. So I think that's really fun.
So that's what I got.
So let's just touch base for a minute, because I think that there's some, especially maybe newer stitchers, that think, oh, well, if I bought it now, I have to stitch it now. And if I don't stitch it now, like I should feel bad about myself.
No.
So you said that club was how many years ago?
Oh, maybe at least 3.
Okay. So,
and I still have at least 3 of the 6 to stitch,
which is great. And you're stitching them when it feels right to you, when the mood comes up. Are you someone who likes to stitch in season, or like, how do you decide what you're stitching?
I do like to stitch in season, but I like to work from January until I'm done with any gifts I'm going to give for that year.
Smart.
And so this year I was, retiring made me uber efficient. And so I was done in June. So I don't normally have that much time to work on things for me.
Bonus of retirement.
So that has been fun. I made a cute little flamingo to put on the back of a jean jacket for my grandson. I've made a bunch of like kind of random things that I've had for a long time, but never got to.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about needlepoint canvases. As my good friend Vicky Whitson always says, it's not lettuce. They don't go bad.
No, they do not.
You know, you see something you love, you buy it, and you might not get to it right away, but eventually you do, and it brings you joy.
That is true.
Well,
that is very true.
Well, I hope this weekend's going to bring you a lot of joy, and I
already
appreciate you joining us. And I'm going to swap out Marilyn for our next victim or contestant. I don't know what we call them. We'll be right back.
All right. Good luck.
Bye.
Like should not see.
Here we are back with my friend Shirley, and I'm so glad to meet you, because I don't know how long, like, we've known each other without having met,
Right.
but a couple of
Probably,
years.
yeah, about 2, 3 years. I started following you on internet like the rest of the world.
So thank you. So you are of course here at the Pointing It Out podcast retreat.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you found one of our shops first, if you found the podcast first. Any
I
idea?
think I found the podcast during COVID.
Yeah.
And then I started following both you and Megan separately. And it was like a whole new world. The one thing that I really appreciated about when you then moved to the unboxing and the finishing was to see the finishing from all the wonderful stitchers, how their creativity comes through in their projects, and then how you do such a great job finishing. And I know from personal experience, I had done one of the very first pieces I got from you was Harrod's bag and the little shopping bag. And I had sent it in with the teddy. And I said, I've tried to match this leather and I haven't been able to. So if you could match it as close as possible, which of course they matched it exactly.
Oh, that's
And-
one thing.
Oh my God, it made it look so much more than what it was. It was just beautiful.
Good finishers worth their weight in gold. There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
So is this your first time to St. Louis?
This is my first time to St. Louis. I'm enjoying it immensely.
Good.
There's it's just beautiful. I had no preconception of what it was.
And where's home for you? We didn't talk.
Home for me is Los Angeles area. I
Okay.
live in Palos Verdes Estates, which is a seaside community.
Lucky you.
So lucky me. And I'm here solo, but as most people know, needle people,
Pointers?
it's pointers,
Stitchers?
thinking needle pointers. They are friendly folk. And so everyone is very helpful to one another and carpooling and restaurant choices and things like that.
Sure.
So I've had a fabulous time. You and Megan have done a great job in the organization and
Well,
runs like
let's be told,
clockwork.
when I show up in St. Louis, I do nothing other than this. It's a treat for me to be here too. So I like that you brought that up because I do say regularly, but you know, the proof is in the pudding. I say regularly. I think the people that have some of the most richest experience at a retreat are those that come by themselves.
I think you're right.
Because I think the natural thing, if you come with a friend, is you're hanging out with them and they're
Right.
kind of your security blanket. Guess
Exactly.
what? I bring Liz with me. She's my security blanket, so I'm a big liar. But like you said, you've already made a number of new
Oh.
connections and
Yeah, our table is great. And most of the people at the table are solo. And we're very fortunate to have a local St. Louis person at our table
nice
who's been
local guide.
a local guide with restaurant choices and what to do and what to see. So that's been very helpful as well.
Well, I said earlier in this podcast that I think that both Detroit and St. Louis are very underappreciated cities. They're
I
people
think
like,
so.
ho hum, but then you actually get here and the people are fantastic.
Mhm.
And St. Louis has all these different little neighborhoods. They're all like,
Yes.
my friend Kathy, who lived here for a while, calls it the 15-minute city. And now, so I want you to think about that every time you get in a car while you're
Yes.
here. Everywhere you go, it's going to take 15 minutes or less.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. So
We've noticed that. Yeah.
good. And have you been to other retreats before?
I have been other retreats. My local NSS does one in Laguna Beach
Nice.
once
Is that
a year.
Artesia?
Aristea.
Aristea.
Aristea. Give a shout out to Aristea, which is in Los Angeles, and they do a great job with that. And I think I went to one other. It was a day retreat in Pasadena.
Nice.
Stitch in Time.
Oh, we love
and-
Allison.
Yeah, Allison. She does a great job as well. We don't have very many needlepoint shops left in the Los Angeles area. And as you know, it's a very big city. And there's only really two in three, counting Allison. She's in Pasadena, but it's not like St. Louis. Apparently this is the headquarters of needlepoint shops. They're
I
all
know.
over the
When
place.
my daughter went to WashU, I think there were 4 here. Now they're down to 2.
Okay.
So, We got to support. the ones that are
Absolutely. You have
there.
to
So,
support the ones that are there,
Yeah.
which is great.
well, good. Well, I hope you're glad that you've come along.
I
Have
have.
you gotten any stitching done?
I'm actually working on the my initial on the little retreat
Okay.
tag that we received in our swag bag.
Which I think is smart because at retreats, I think there's a lot more chatting
Yeah.
and shopping going on than stitching, but bringing, like, in this case, you didn't have to bring it. It was
Yeah.
gifted to
Yeah.
you. But having a basket weave, very simple
Yes.
project that you don't really have to think about, I think is really fantastic.
Well, we're all so excited to be here and everyone's sharing all their networks of information. Oh, you can go to this website for this and this website for that. So there's a lot of information sharing. And like I said, if you're doing some more complicated decorative stitches, you're not going to do them today.
Yeah. And I think people a lot of times bring a more complicated project and it
Yeah.
doesn't, not much gets done.
Right.
Lots of fun gets had. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
good. Well, thank you for joining me. I
Thank
hope you
you.
have a fantastic
I
rest of your
will.
retreat.
Thank you.
And we're gonna find a new guest. Hold on, everyone. Okay, we are back, everyone, with our next guest. And Courtney, I've known on paper for a little while, but we just met last night, right?
Absolutely.
So where's home for you?
Home is Connecticut. Yes. So
Okay.
a little bit away.
So were we talking about the fact that you live right near my sister-in-law?
I do live right near your sister-in-law. Absolutely.
So, yeah, so you find all sorts of interesting connections with people. I'm like, oh, my sister lives in Todd's Pointe's where I used to go to the beach all the time. Blah, blah, blah. So
Beautiful.
it's really fun to make those connections. And so we met last night. We all went out to dinner. Yesterday was a stitching day at the shop. And then everyone kind of did dinner on their own. And then a lot of us that are staying at the hotel that's right nearby, it's like what, a mile from here?
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of reconvened and hung out, and I think there was a couple people with canvases there, but most of us were just
Yeah.
jabbering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone was so nice and from different areas and different backgrounds. So it's nice to meet new people.
Yes. So did you come here with a friend?
I came here with two ladies I stitch with at Stitch by Stitch Larchmont on Saturdays. And I met them, I think 3 years ago. And it's Lori and Celeste, and they're lovely. And their friend Chris. And then my table sent me here with some notes. So I just want to be clear that I'm also stitching this weekend with the lovely ladies from Dallas. We have Sherry, who's wearing a beautiful outfit.
Always
Cynthia, who of course designed her outfit. And then
match her out perfectly.
second day in a row, different set
Crazy.
of glasses. And then Kathy, cool Kathy, who is a fiber artist. So I just want to give a shout out to the
So-
lovely ladies
So
at
did
it.
cool Kathy tell you she's my son's landlord?
She definitely mentioned that. He mentioned it.
Yeah.
Seems like your son is living a good life.
He's got it made.
Yeah.
He's actually a really good kid, and good things come to those people that earn it. And he did get a little bit lucky, and it's a fantastic apartment he rents from our good friend Kathy, who right now is from Dallas. We're hoping pretty soon she'll be back
She'll
in
be back.
Detroit because she's a dear friend of mine. So, and she's been on the podcast before.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I will go back to the table with
I-
this information.
Podcast a couple of years ago in the same exact spot.
Mhm.
Because she has some St. Louis roots and she was here. And I believe she was on the podcast.
Yes,
But I apologize. They kind of start to muddle together.
I'm sure. I can't imagine. Yeah.
So why did you decide to come to St. Louis?
Well, actually, I was lucky enough to come here a few years ago and I could not wait to come back. We had applied to the lottery, us girls from Larchmont, and it's just nice to get away and also meet people that you have this passion in common with. I think community is what people should talk more about in Needlepoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked earlier with my last guest about how you go to a needlepoint retreat and a lot more happens to do with making new friends, talking to people, comparing notes, maybe a little bit of shopping. And then I think stitching comes in like last place.
But you can also see cool things people are doing that you wouldn't have thought that you wanted to do. And then you're like, oh, I need to try that. And that's great.
Right. So how long have you been stitching?
I've been stitching since 2018. So
Okay.
a little bit, but
Nice.
definitely on the lower end of the route.
Wow.
Lots to learn.
Some of us have stitched since like we were 7 years old, like me. And I might be a few years older than you are. But there are some brand new stitchers here too, or people that said
Yeah.
I'm a new stitcher. So
Yeah.
you're in that medium.
Absolutely.
Space, for sure.
It's a good place to be.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And what do you think about St. Louis?
Oh my gosh, it's lovely. And no one mentioned this, but the food has been fantastic.
Detroit and St. Louis both are really good food cities.
No, it's great. And I do like that about different shops. I feel like you travel and see different places that probably wouldn't have been on my list before Needlepoint. And I
Right.
like that. Meeting
Yeah.
people with different backgrounds is great.
Good, good.
Yeah.
And what did you bring to stitch?
Oh, I brought a belt that I am determined to finish. And
Okay,
I've been
good.
working very hard.
This is a good place to finish a belt. 'Cause
Yes.
they do lightning fast finishing on a belt.
There we
It's
go.
good.
And I'm also working on one of those poison bottles.
Okay.
I just love it.
I've done a few
Yes.
myself.
Very fun.
It's
And in
well-
season.
Yeah, and I am definitely an in-season stitcher, although honestly, what I brought to stitch was, I don't know if you saw them from this current past market.
Yeah.
The Curious Cowgirl came out with these bookmarks
Oh,
with the
nice.
vintage, they're vintage, should have brought it up here. They're vintage ribbons. And then the piece of stitching is about that big. It's like
Okay.
literally about 2 inches square.
Cool.
And because it's a bookmark, you do it all in basket weave. So that's the perfect.
That's the perfect thing to bring. Yeah.
I still haven't put a stitch in, except for on the airplane. I did stitch a little on there.
There you go. So that's fun.
Good. Well, thank you for
Of
joining
course.
us. And we'll be back in a minute with our next retreat guest. Hold on. Well, we're back and I have a very special guest. I have not met Christie before, although she was very nice and shared her Uber ride with me this morning. And I think this is really fun because when I travel, my kids and I say we have to go to the needlepoint shop. My kids
course.
say, you own a needlepoint shop. Why would you have to go to the needlepoint shop? That makes no sense. And that's my lead in to saying that Christie is a fellow shop owner. And your shop is called Fantastic Needlepoint in Midlands, Texas. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and I look at this like a professional development, and that's the lovely thing about this is that I can hit two birds with one stone. One, it's my passion, and two,
It's
I get-
tax deductible.
right?
Good job. So tell us a little bit about your stitching life and what led you to be a shop owner.
Okay, so I was a family consumer sciences teacher, a home ec teacher, and I've
Wait,
always
what's it called these days?
family consumer sciences.
Okay,
We're
gotta get
science.
science. I'm
Yeah.
old, so home ec was what it was, and I knew
Home
that
ec.
was no longer what it was called.
And I always grew up with needle and thread of some sort, whether it was
Okay.
seamstress or whether it was embroidery. And COVID hit, and there's only so much that a boy wants you to sew for them. I have a son.
Okay.
They hit a certain age and they're like, I'm good. No
Yeah.
sewing for me anymore, mom. So I
No
picked
longer
up
cool.
embroidery, and then that led to an Elizabeth Bradley kit that was needlepoint, and I just fell in love.
So wait, so it is now 2024
Yes.
and you have never like you've not even needlepointed until 2020 and now you're a shop owner?
Yes, 100%.
That is amazing. That is absolutely
know,
amazing.
They say start before you're ready. And
True. I
because
like it.
once you do all the research, you may never start. And
Well, it's a scary thing to open a shop.
It
It's very
is.
scary. You have to be an expert theoretically in so many things.
well, let me tell you, Melissa, the community I live in, those ladies have been stitching their whole life, and they are fantastic.
Oh,
Like I live in the best community of stitchers, and I know we all think that, but anything I need help with, they're going to step in and say, "Hey, I'll teach class. Hey, I'll pull threads. Hey, do you want lunch?" You know, so it's been a community effort to open the store.
so are you a one woman show or do you have a staff?
I do not have a staff.
You are a one
But,
woman show. I bow down to you. I talk about that regularly, that there are shops where when you go to, did you come to market?
I did come to
I'm
market.
sorry that I didn't see you there.
You have more than enough going on, but I take my husband with me. I call him shipping and handling
Oh,
because he
what a
ships different
dear.
shows,
What a
you know. But yes, that seems to be
So
in the
do you-
past.
close the shop when you go.
Yes, if you look on my Instagram, you'll see shop closed today.
A lot of stores are like that. I mean, you're a one man show. What else can you do? But
Exactly.
it's amazing. I don't know how you do it all. So
It's been a lot of fun, and I'll tell you, and you probably experienced this too. I didn't know how much joy I was going to have opening my doors every day and shutting my doors.
yes,
And,
this is a very true
You
statement.
know, so that's why I don't mind it being a one woman show. But like I said, it's really a community effort. Yeah.
Right. Well, we talk about this on the podcast regularly. The Needlepoint community in general is just such a giving, loving, cooperative, collaborative. Like I could just go on and on with a million adjectives about how we all treat each other so well.
Right.
And, I mean, I think in other industries, like you might show up at something like this and not tell anyone who you were. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
here, Megan like announced last night, and we have another special industry guest, and Christie's probably like, "What?" So
Fabulous. Everybody in this industry has been, how can I help?
I think it's
What can you do?
fantastic. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic. You know, so we get to work in a very cool industry.
Nice, nice. And have you been to St. Louis before?
No, never. But I did watch a documentary before I came
Oh, that's right. We talked about
about
this
the
morning.
1904 World's Fair. And my Uber drivers have been just phenomenal, pointing things out. And it's so green here. It's beyond green.
Which led me to have to ask, is Midland in the desert? Because I have not been to that part of Texas. I've been to only Dallas. It's my
Okay.
only Texas experience. So
A lot of good people in Dallas.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yes, we're kind of out there. I call us a little island in the landlocked island.
So first trip to St. Louis, and have you done anything special? Have you gone to some great dinners?
I did go to a great dinner last night with some of the ladies from the retreat.
Who
And-
you hadn't met before,
No,
right?
I hadn't met before, but everybody's like, let's jump in an Uber together. Let's all go eat. One of the ladies planned it, and I just jumped right in.
And you came on your own as well, right?
I did come on my own.
I love it. I think coming to, like I said, I feel like a broken record a little bit, but coming to a retreat by yourself should never be anything that you're scared of, because you just meet so many new people
And it turns out that a couple of ladies know the same ladies I do from Dallas
love it.
and from Midland. And then me and I were at Stitch Philly together.
and Courtney was just on. And we were talking this morning that my only experience of being in Texas was in Dallas. And my bestie, one of my besties, Heidi from Chaparral, and you're like, oh, Heidi's coming to my show in a couple of months.
That's right.
And
I'm so excited.
yes, yes. So
And you know,
that's fantastic.
When I opened the store, she was one of those people that said, how can I help? I'll answer any questions you need.
So
And that's this community.
and the backstory of that, so we're kind of connected.
Kind of. Yeah.
Because when Heidi opened her shop, I had called about something. I can't even remember why I called there. She called me and said, well, I'm happy to answer your question, but I'm a brand new shop owner, so I'm hoping that means that you'll become my friend. And I was like, of course, you can ask me anything. And I have said this before to her. I'm not sure if I've said it to the podcast audience, but the irony of that is I honestly say, I think since that connection, Heidi has probably been of more help to me than I've been to her. At least that's how I feel. I bet you she feels the same, because it's just such a cooperative, collaborative.
It is very neat. Well, thank you for having me on.
Speaking of Heidi, what are you stitching?
Oh, I am stitching an NDL
Is that funny?
piece in honor of our homecoming this year for Midland High.
Oh, is that, so it's the Wonka golden ticket. So is that the theme for?
It was Home Sweet Homecoming, and then we did tennis as the golden ticket.
I like it.
And when we went to market, I was like, oh, I'm stitching that.
Wait, so you just picked that up at market and it's almost done?
I started it a couple days ago. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
I think I've put in about 5 stitches since market.
I don't know. I did. I said, did you guys plan this retreat knowing when market was? And she was like, yes. And I thought, I did not sign up knowing when market was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was a small discussion that I said to Megan and Stephanie when they were picking the date, I go, that's only 2 weeks after market. Like, easy for me. I just have to show up.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, yeah. But there were other things on the schedule that this was just the best weekend. So they're like, we'll just work.
We couldn't ask for better weather.
It's fantastic. Fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Sorry. So thank you, Christie,
thank
from
you.
Fantastic Needlepoint. And we're so glad you're here. I'm glad to have met you in person. And I know that we will have many conversations to come.
Oh, perfect.
Thanks. Okay, and we are back with Ginger, and we have not met before.
We
Well,
haven't.
I mean, before this weekend, we met earlier today. I do think though I recognize your name from watching my video.
Yes,
please.
I do.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And here we are in St. Louis. So have you been to St. Louis before?
I've never been to St. Louis before. I don't think I've ever been to Missouri before.
I don't
And
think
I've
I've
never been to the
anywhere
store.
anywhere else in Missouri other than St. Louis. So,
Yeah, so I have not.
okay. And where's home for you?
I live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Which is only about a 4 or 6 hour drive.
I flew through Chicago and came here, but it's probably not that far. I prefer to fly.
Okay.
So I don't want to have to deal with driving.
Yes. Well, especially I drive a lot. I'm a big driver if it's like less than 8 hours, but I also can easily say that because my husband loves to drive.
Mhm.
So guess what? I can sit in the car.
Well, I came on my own.
I can
so-
sit in the car
yeah,
instead.
yeah. So I came
yeah.
on, and I also get a little car sick. So stitching in the car and things are
That's
not.
not going to work out so well.
Yeah. So yeah. So I flew and I came by myself.
Nice.
This is the first time I've ever been to a retreat. So I signed up for the lottery and got in, and I was super excited. Came by myself, didn't know a soul.
I love it.
And everybody's been very nice and friendly, and it's been wonderful.
And I think you mentioned to me when we first were talking that you were a beginner. So what
I
do you
am.
really mean by a beginner? Let's drill that down.
So I think I started 2.5 to 3 years
No,
ago.
you're not a beginner.
Well,
And
Well, maybe I'm a more advanced beginner, but I started out by taking a class at my local needlepoint shop, Wallace Needlepoint, shout out.
okay, I was going to ask. what
Yeah,
shop-
Wallace Needlepoint Sharon. She's wonderful. If you visit Knoxville, Tennessee, please go to Wallace. And I took a very basic keychain class, and I just became instantly obsessed. I think what the draw is for me is the fact that it's small, mostly run by small businesses, mostly women, hand painted, artistic. So I don't like to think about things a lot when I'm doing something like this. I kind of am this is more of a relaxation for me.
For sure.
So I'm not, I really prefer, I like the fact that you can kind of just make it as easy or as hard as you want it to be. And that's really what draws it to me. And plus just the beauty and the finished products and all those things. So
And I've stitched since I was like 7 years old. And I think the last 2 months I have done outside of a class that I'm helping to teach. I don't think I've done anything other than basket weave because I'm in a headspace where doing more complicated stitches just seems overwhelming to me right now. And so you can be a very experienced stitcher, and I've done a lot of things in needlepoint, but right now that basket weave, simple tent stitch, that repetitiveness is just the calming relaxation that I need to get for my project. So I
can totally relate to that. I'm probably going to do this all in basket weave. It's adorable. I bought this as a small Jean Smith cabbage, and I bought it from Red Thread Atelier. Which I've seen her videos and I saw it. So
Jean
love it.
Smith is a fellow Michigander.
And you talked about her on your, I think the last podcast.
The market reveal.
Yeah. And I love her canvases. I think I like the colors mostly. And for some reason right now I'm into vegetables. So I don't know why.
That's good. That's very good. And speaking of colorful, let's talk about that cute necklace you're wearing.
I got this summer for myself for my birthday because I love it. And I'm a big Elizabeth Crane Schwartz fan.
You've got matching bracelets.
I also have matching bracelets. They're wood and they're just fantastic. I love this necklace for a couple of reasons. It's really easy to take on and off. It's got a great clasp that you just push with your finger instead of having to squeeze a little lobster clasp. It's very lightweight. It's made out of wood. So I'm a big fan.
I have a few other things too, and I think I was telling you this, I can't remember. But Wednesday, when I was thinking about packing to come here, and what I haven't mentioned is Elizabeth Crane Schwartz is the guest designer under our roof this weekend. We were all hanging out with her last night, and I've been lucky enough to host her in Detroit, and she's just a dear, dear person. And I also have, I think, the double layer necklace and the same bracelet. And then I also have a green bracelet. So and this has been collected over time.
Yeah.
They're all hand painted. Her things aren't inexpensive.
Right. But they're not super expensive.
No, but
They're
they're like
medium.
You said you treated yourself for your birthday.
I did.
For my necklace, I treated myself.
Right.
Like it's not something, whatever. But they're all hand painted, beautifully done. And I thought, I'm gonna plan all my outfits around my Elizabeth Cranesworth
Uh-huh.
story.
Mhm.
But then when I was packing at midnight on Thursday night, I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you remember.
Yeah, I know. And I did not know she was going to be here. And when I saw her, I walked in yesterday, she was wearing a version of this necklace. It was different. And she had I'm going to say her signature striped shirt. She had a striped shirt on. And I was like, fangirl moment. We got a picture together. So that was really exciting.
So funny
Yeah.
you were wearing it.
I
You
didn't
know she
even,
was
I didn't
here.
even know she was going to be here. So
I love it. I love it. And I will mention one other thing about Elizabeth's jewelry. I have a metal allergy.
mhm.
And so I love big jewelry, but I really can't wear
Mhm.
most big jewelry because unless it's 14 karat,
Right.
really high end sterling silver, people are like, no, it actually is a problem. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, we could go down a rabbit hole and say
Costume
like,
jewelry,
I
yeah.
can't wear jeans more than one day in a row because the rivets bother my skin. I can no longer wear my Apple Watch because what, blah, blah, blah. Very first world problem. Elizabeth's jewelry does not bother my skin, even though it's not 14 karat. I don't know why it doesn't bother my skin, but it doesn't. So
It
yay.
may be gold plated. I don't know.
I feel like
I feel like
maybe
it may be.
was, and then the
Of
bracelets
course, the
don't have
bracelets,
any
right.
metal.
And these are just, of course, stretchy.
Super sweet. Well, you're like outfitted perfectly and you look fantastic.
you.
So I'm glad that you came and we got a chance to meet, and I hope maybe you'll make it to Detroit sometime.
Can I do a shout out real quick?
Of course.
Not only to Wallace Needlepoint, my local needlepoint shop in Knoxville, Tennessee, but also to Knoxville Stitch Club. Hello, everyone. And
Hey.
I wish you guys were here with me.
How many stitchers in your?
Gosh, I don't know how many are in the club. I'd have to ask Amelia or Sharon, but there may be up towards 75. We usually have a group of, a smaller group that meets kind of regularly, but I think there's a pretty big number. It's only been about 2 years and it's very popular.
Very nice. We have a Stitch Club Detroit, and I would say that we have events like 25 people show up, and then again,
Yeah,
more than that.
that's kind of how
But,
that's about what we do, maybe a little less.
Yes, so I guess the PSA here is if you have a local Stitch Club, reach out to them, usually on Instagram, right? Is that how you found
Yes,
yours?
that is how I found mine.
And it's a great way to make new friends, to have a needlepoint outing. If you don't have a local Stitch Club, create one.
Absolutely. I'm so glad there's one in Knoxville. I think it's really made me more invested in just everything about the craft.
And I know at least in the Detroit Stitch Club, the stitchers are of all ages.
Yes.
There's some that are in their
We have
20s,
multi-generation.
there's some that are in their 70s. There's some other daughters.
Yes.
Like lots of those things.
Which
and-
I also love.
Yes, and so, well, it doesn't matter what your age is, if you're a stitcher.
Or your ability, because I would say I'm more on the beginner side. So yeah, they welcome me with open arms.
Like a giant Montessori classroom.
It
You're
is.
learning from them all the time.
It is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for spending
Thank you
time
so
with us. And I think now we're going to see our next guest, which I think we're going to get Elizabeth on here. So hey, hold on, guys. So I didn't even tell you before you sat down. Ginger was on the lap just before you, and she had your fabulous necklace on.
Looks
and
amazing.
Bracelets. And again, I was remiss, and on Wednesday I was planning all my outfits around your jewelry because I do have, I think 3 or 4 pieces. I can't remember. And see what Elizabeth does. She's a very smart cookie. In case you guys don't know this, when you go to check out at her table at market, which you weren't at this last market
No,
because
but for good reason.
that darn daughter got married market weekend. But when you sit at a table to check out, you're really tired from running around at market. You sit
It's a
down
nice
in the
chair.
chair. It's nice and comfy. And Elizabeth's ringing up your things a little slowly. I don't know.
Fat
Or
fingers
down.
and stuff. Yeah.
And there's always a little dish of bracelets and necklaces, and you're very generous at market. And normally you don't wholesale your jewelry to
Right.
needlepoint shops.
Right.
But at market, you'll give the needlepoint higher, a
Discount.
little tiny discount, which I shouldn't say little tiny, but
No, definitely.
it's very lovely. And so it seems like every market, one more bracelet gets added to my.
But it's interesting that my jewelry customer, who I took forever to find, is also my needlepoint customer. It's
Interesting.
the same person. And so when I was selling jewelry I was on Instagram, but my customer wasn't yet. And then once COVID hit and needlepoint started happening for me, it was happening for a lot of people. And so more and more people created accounts to go see what everybody was doing. And that's how they found my jewelry. So it's
it's the same customer. All of them love color and pattern and design. So
It's fantastic.
yeah,
It's fantastic.
it's good.
I've had the pleasure of having you in Detroit.
I need to come longer next time.
Well, and maybe not during a blizzard.
No.
So she came in January. Was it just this January?
Yeah. Feels like 2 years ago, but it was
Forever ago. So it was 9 months ago, I think.
yes.
But it was 0 degrees and blizzarding, and I think it's 85 and sunny here in
Gorgeous.
St. Louis. So
Yeah.
Elizabeth's gonna probably rush back to St. Louis and be like, no, I'm not coming to Detroit again. But you
Yeah.
are a Rhode Island girl. So
Yes.
winter is
We know
not
winter.
a
Yeah.
an object to you.
We've moved around a lot. We did Chicago, Minnesota, so all
Winter
snow.
places.
Yeah,
Yeah, and St. Louis isn't always this lovely, but it has been weather-wise. It has been
Nice.
lovely this weekend. Have you been to St. Louis before?
once. I think it was early 2000s, and my son, we were living in Chicago, and my son had a hockey tournament.
Okay. It's
So
an
I've-
easy 4-hour drive. from
Easy.
Chicago.
We did the Arch, and then I was in a rink for 3 days. So I don't like to say that I've been to St. Louis because I
Went to a
haven't.
hockey rink.
I went to a hockey rink and the Arch, and that was it.
Well, the Arch is pretty cool.
It is
think
cool.
I said earlier, my daughter went to college here, and it wasn't until her senior year that I went to the Arch.
Hey,
I don't know why.
did you go up?
We did. And I thought it was gonna be, honestly, I mean, this is embarrassing. I kind of thought it was gonna be stupid, and it was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I loved the preview movie that gives you all the
History.
the building of the arch, and
Yeah.
it's really, really fun.
That, and then I did the Space Needle this summer when I was in Seattle.
I did that too.
Highly recommend.
Too.
And again,
Yeah.
you think it's going to be cheesy.
You're like touristy, why am I doing this? And then
Beautiful.
you're like, oh.
Yeah.
this
The
is
years that it took. Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So you're here with a little trunk show, but you're also hopefully getting some stitching done.
I am.
Let's
I
see what you're
am so
stitching.
proud of myself. I stitched the glyph belt 2 years ago,
Love it.
and I'm learning the binding stitch.
Oh, look at you.
Yes. Natalia, who's at my table,
Yeah.
said she would help me. And I mean, it's not hard. It's just the understanding the mechanics.
And it's the rhythm, and once you do the repetition, once you
Yeah.
get this side done, you wait a
Right.
few days to go home, you'll still know how to do it. That's that muscle memory, right?
So I learned a new
Okay.
trick.
So I
And
was saying
then-
earlier, I feel like coming to these retreats, sometimes it's a lot more communication and community and friendship and making new friends,
Mhm.
but it's also a giant Montessori classroom.
I love that description.
I mean, it really is. Like, you probably taught somebody something,
Yeah.
and Natalia just taught you this. I mean, it's just, it keeps going.
And to see what people are choosing to stitch, how they're stitching it, color swapping, adding their own touch. It's all like research and development for me too.
For sure. I know when Paige Lobster came to one of our retreats, and I said, oh, I hope you had a chance to enjoy yourself. She's like, this has been the most fascinating thing I've done, because as a designer, I don't get to watch people react to my design.
Yes.
And she's like, that's just such a fulfilling experience.
That's a great description of it. Just to see people get excited about what's new, or look what I did and how they put their own spin on it. It's mutual admiration, but it in person is such a
So
treat.
speaking of what's new, as I mentioned a little bit, Elizabeth wasn't at market, but don't worry. She has a lot of new designs. I think mine arrived this week, and so I'm going to be unboxing coming week. So
Good.
I haven't gotten to show them off yet, but I promise you, you're in for some good stuff. So what else? are you
Yeah.
stitching? Is this something from the new?
This is the new,
I thought so.
it's 14 inches. It's a checkerboard canvas.
I love it.
And so I'm not done yet.
So can it actually be used as a checkerboard?
Yes,
But you called it a pillow canvas. So what will you do it as?
checkerboards.
Okay.
I think I have to decide between an acrylic or a roll up,
Oh, yes.
either way. And
Very
then
nice.
as I stitch and I end up with a long leftover piece, I've been adding it to the border.
Okay, that's Smart Cookie Award right there.
I can't
That's
take credit.
fantastic.
Mary, who actually lives in St. Louis, Mary McEwen, she was doing it on another canvas and I stole her idea. So
That's just so brilliant, because we're all like, why would I keep this half a thread of canvas?
ones I get, but
Right. And it's just like, oh, the needle's already threaded. I might
Right.
as well use it up. I love that. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Do you have pieces to go with your checkerboard canvas?
I have They're not as big as I would like. They're slightly smaller. They'll still work. And they're unfinished wood and I might paint some.
Oh, see, I didn't
We'll
say
see.
answer to that question, but that's
Yeah.
exciting. Well, good. So new to your line, you have some very funny signs.
Quotes.
It's not an issue, it's an ish me.
It's not an, it's, sounds like an issue, not an it's me.
There we go. I said it backwards.
Yep,
or
yep.
Incorrectly.
And then
that.
asked and answered has been a favorite for me in our house. My kids not necessarily. So that was, and it's funny because it's a legal term. And I watched, the OJ Simpson trial and Judge Ito would say asked and answered, like you're done. And so there's been a lot of attorneys who say, like, I have to stitch that to my office or and moms. And then another favorite is if you need me, please don't. Like I was coming to the retreat this weekend, so if you need me, please don't.
Yeah, I've got better things planned for the weekend.
Yeah. If unless it's fire or blood, I don't need to know about it. That's what I used to tell the babysitter.
Love it. And I ordered a couple, I can't remember what you're calling them, the squares.
I'm calling them corners, but
Okay, there we go. I knew that wasn't quite right. So they're your classic, like
all the
Oh.
colors.
Elizabeth colors and big squares inside squares, and it's fantastic. So if you haven't seen those yet, you're going to start to see those more and more at
Yep.
your local needlepoint shop. What else was brand new? The checkerboard pattern.
Checkerboard. And then I
two
did,
different sizes too.
yes, I have a clutch, an eyeglass case. The corners is a bag strap, a 12-inch
Clutch size maybe.
clutch, yep, an eyeglass and key fob. Key fobs are a hit with people, and I get why, because it's a quick stitch. It's a key fob, a cuff, a bookmark. Right, it's a lot.
Yeah, and easy to move around with.
Yes,
Quick
very portable.
gratification.
Yep.
And then you had an exclusive with the red thread. With
I
the gal-
did, and now it's come back, and so it's available
So
to
it's
everybody.
released.
Yep.
It is absolutely darling. And then some new ornaments that kind of segue from your traditional style, I would say.
Yes, I was explaining to Megan, she hadn't seen them. I had a few of them at market in March, and I added a few more this fall, and there'll be more coming out. For the last 20 years, every holiday, I make my own holiday cards.
Nice.
There are people who like to bake.
Right.
I get into the holiday spirit by making cards.
This is why she's teeny tiny, because she's
Oh.
making holiday cards instead of baking. So anyway, go ahead.
So each of the designs is a sort of modification of the card that I send. Yeah, so what I need to do is get something together on my website to show the card and then the ornament. And it's been so fun to have them release, and people don't know the story behind them. So I'm glad people are enjoying them, but it's also fun that it lived once on paper and now it's,
Well, they're very emotionally meaningful to you,
Yeah.
which is also nice.
Yeah.
Sing. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. It was great spending time with you again.
I know.
We got to hang out a little bit last night, and I hope I get to see you obviously more this weekend.
I know, I can't believe that it's only halfway through.
I know.
Like we have tonight and tomorrow.
I know. It's all good.
It's good.
It's all good. Okay, my dear. Good to see you. Thanks, guys. We'll be
Thank
back with
you.
our final guest. Okay, so we are back with my final guest, and I've known Julie for a long time. I should have remember how long. So many of you may have not met Julie unless you've been in St. Louis at the Needlepoint Clubhouse. You have worked with Megan since she opened the shop. Is that correct?
Yes. I believe I was hired in July, like 7.5 years ago, 7 years ago. And
Yeah.
she took ownership like around Labor Day weekend.
Oh, so she inherited you? I inherited
Yes.
Liz. too.
Yes, it was
So,
great. I
good
went to the
heritage.
interview. I found her through Facebook. She posted that she was looking for people. And when I was there, she sort of whispered, and I'm buying the shop. So
Hysterical.
anyway, we just hit it off. It just became like an instant friendship, and we hit it off right away. So yeah.
And what many of you may not know, but I am well versed in, is when you come into the Needlepoint shop, it's the Needlepoint Clubhouse. It is just, it's a feast for the eyes. I mean, not only is there needlepoint everywhere and threads everywhere, like anyone can do that, but their shop is so beautifully merchandised. And every time you come, it's a little bit different. Like you still know where you are. It's still very recognizable, but it's just a little bit different than when you were there 6 months before. And all of that is because of Julie. So
Oh, well, thanks.
Megan,
That's very
how's
kind.
her visuals queen to
I'm in the
me.
department.
I don't know, but
Although I think Megan is in my department too, because she loves visuals, but we have a good time together and we like to just keep things fresh.
well,
And there's always new things coming in. So
you do a fantastic job.
thank
also
you.
help,
That's very kind.
the Gingham Stitchery and Susan Roberts with
Mhm.
their setting up their rooms at market. Is that correct?
Yes, so I wear 2 hats at market. One is just visual help with Gingham Stitchery and Susan Roberts, although Megan and Lauren do such a great job. But I help them with that. And then after their rooms are set up, I switch hats and I am the buyer for the clubhouse. So
I think those are pretty fun jobs.
yeah, they're very
Do you
fun.
feel like you get up every day and you're like super lucky? I would.
I really do. It is a really fun place to be, great group of women, all ages. And we also have the same hobby, which, I mean, who else works at a place where everyone has the same hobby? That's what's so fun. So we get together, sometimes in the evenings and just stitch and just
And as a retail shop owner myself, I wear a lot of different hats, but the 2 hats that you get to wear at market are probably my favorite too. And I don't
Yes.
always get to pick those because a lot of times I have to be the accountant. And
Oh.
sometimes I have to be the bathroom cleaner and everything in between. So those
Right,
are the
right,
really fun
right.
ones if you
I
ask
think
me.
I would not like the technical hat. That is not my forte.
Yeah.
And it's not even really something I'm interested in. So I'm
You're,
thrilled to
you're slotted
leave
in
that
just
to
the right
the smarties that know how to do all of that. So
So what a lot of our listeners may or may not know is as fantastic as this situation is and the building and this retail space, Megan has taken the giant leap to invest in and buy her own property so she can bring all of her businesses under one roof. Is that the
yes,
plan?
that is the plan.
And it's not going to happen tomorrow because it's
No, so the building has been purchased. It's been something that's been a dream of hers for a long time. We've spent probably the last year looking around at retail spaces and nothing really panned out. And we now know it's because the perfect space was waiting for us. It's about 2 miles directly east of where we are right now on the same road. So for anyone familiar with St. Louis, still on Manchester Road. And
which way is east?
east is toward the arch.
Okay, thank you. I don't know which way I'm going right now.
Yeah.
So I just had to ask. I was trying to picture it myself. So-
Right. So it's the current space we're in is 2,800 square feet. The new space is 6,800 square feet. Now there is our back room is going to be much larger, just because we'll have a warehouse space for Susan
Very nice.
Roberts inventory, for Gingham Stitchery inventory. And then we just need more space. We need more finishing space. We need more, we've gained so many more employees. The processes of running the business just are requiring a lot more space.
For sure.
But the floor is going to be quite large. I'm really excited about it. It's just been gutted, so it's a really blank canvas, no pun intended.
I love it.
That we've just finalized with the architect of what we want the space to look like. So it's probably going to be late February, early March.
Wow. That's
We have to be out of this space March 30th. So far, so good.
okay.
Um,
Fingers crossed. It
yeah.
all stays on schedule.
Finger
But
crossed.
you guys seem to be able to get everything done. So separately, aside from the main building,
Mhm.
there's another little house
There is.
now therefore named the cottage. Is
The
that correct?
Clubhouse Cottage. It was part of the sale. It was owned by the same man. It's actually on the side street, right at Manchester, and the street is Tavalon if you're local. And the man owned both, and he couldn't believe that we wanted both. So if you go through the backyard of the house, you're in the parking lot of the shop. So it's literally, 25 steps from the house. The house is, as Melissa said, it's the Clubhouse Cottage. Its intention is to be a gathering space for stitchers. There's also, it's 2 bedroom, 1 bath right now with the possibility of expanding. There is an unfinished basement that we're having bid out for a couple more bedrooms and another bath.
It's exciting.
It
I hadn't
is.
Heard that part.
It is. It's
Nice.
really exciting. So, but the house is a 1929, sort of little cottage bungalow. And it's really sweet. It's
For those of you that haven't been to St. Louis, I feel like St. Louis is a lot like Detroit. We have this old architecture. Like, I don't feel like our houses in Detroit are old, but you come to a older city like Detroit or St. Louis, and we've been very fortunate for whatever reason that we haven't had the demolition that a lot of other cities have had. And there are so many beautiful old homes. And this in case isn't one of those giant, like wandering 10,000 square foot homes.
right,
There's lots of those in St. Louis.
right. There are.
Drive down Forest Park and your jaw is like on your chest because the houses are so beautiful.
Right.
But I am sure that this has a lot of that classic charm.
It does. It looks like a little gingerbread house from the outside, honestly. And it's the inside, it's well lit. There's a lot of natural light. We wanted it to be a place for stitchers to gather. So there's a lot of really comfortable seating. There's like a full dining room table where we'll have some needlepoint adjacent classes. I know Megan was interested in like tatting classes or embroidery. So it'll serve as overflow for the shop, especially once we are right next door.
Right.
But overflow if we have like, smaller classes when we have something larger going on in the shop. And then also if people are in town, whether it's for a business trip or for a retreat, we do have accommodations. So you'll be able
Kind
to
of like
book-
an Airbnb kind of thing.
Right. We're not going to list it on like an official Airbnb or VRBO site.
This is Airbnb right here.
Right. Well, we feel like our needlepoint, like our clubhouse family is our, and the Pointing It Out podcast family is large enough.
For sure.
And also the house is full of needlepoint and it's full of things that
Make sure people
Megan
know
and
that
I have
respected.
thrifted and loved and right. So we want people to appreciate it for what it is. Also, if you're watching and you're local, there will be like an evening rate if you want to just like book it for book club or a private stitch club or a Bible study or bridal shower or whatever you want to do. So it does have a full kitchen and it's adorable. It's been like decorating a little dollhouse. It's so cute.
I know. Megan, the other day I was talking to her and she's like, well, I'm at the cottage painting. And I'm like,
Oh, I know.
like, you need to go, girlfriend.
No, it's been great. It's been crazy. You can see a full tour of the cottage on Clubhouse Cottage on Instagram. Megan and I did a full tour with Lauren, which was really fun because Lauren saw it empty. And then we pretty much
Unveiled it for her.
unveiled it. I don't know if we told her she couldn't come, but she just didn't have time to come over and it worked out perfect because she had seen it
have
for the
the
tour. so-
jaw dropping.
Yeah,
I was
it
talking
was fun.
here.
Yeah, so it's like just like a cozy little girly space to
I
stitch.
love it. And I haven't had a chance to get over there, but I will get over there.
Yes,
before,
I can
the
take you
weekend
over.
is out. So I'm excited about it. Well, thank you. So this is our last guest for today. This retreat is fantastic. I know you probably had a part in gussying up the place 2 weeks post market. By the way, they had a retreat last weekend too.
We
So
did.
I mean, everything looks fantastic.
Been a
It's-
crazy couple
it's-
weeks, but it's also
really
fun. We love having people in the shop. We love having
And-
guests. We love having you
I
come.
can
and-
tell you, everyone here is just smiles ear to ear and it's
Thanks.
fantastic. So I hope some of you will be able to join us in Detroit. We've already done our retreat for the spring. And then we'll just keep going with our Pointing It
on
Out
stitching.
podcast retreats. So we hope to meet all of you someday soon and we appreciate your time. Take care.
Bye.